Well, hello and welcome to Qlik Spotlight. My name is John Sands and I have the very great pleasure of having in front of me today is Andy Patrick. Now, Andy Patrick is the MD of Ometis. Welcome, Andy, and welcome to Qlik Spotlight.
Thank you very much, John. It's great to be here.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Now we're going to. The reason we're here is we've got a fantastic case study or customer case, very relevant to where we are now, which is Penlon Medical. But before we get into that and get into the meat of that, explain a little bit to me about who you are and who Ometis are.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So I'm the newly appointed MD. I started the new role on the 1st of April this year, just as we're in the midst of the crisis. But I led up the sales.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I led up the sales team before taking the role as MD. I'm quite a competitive person. I like to get involved in, leaderboards and all types of sports and things like that. So, the typical kind of sales leader that you would find. But found myself in the role of MD now, heading up and steering Ometis in this time of crisis, but hopefully into better times ahead. And you asked about Ometis as well as an organisation, John.
Yeah, but also your career, Andy. So obviously, I mean, I presume you haven't spent your whole career life in Ometis. Well, a bit of background as to where you've been before.
Yeah, so I've done a few different jobs, but the last 20 years have all been around tech companies, and I've sat on support desks. I've been a consultant. I've been a developer of software. I moved into pre-sales, then I went into sales, then I went into sales management, and eventually ended up as MD of Ometis.
Yeah.
So worked for a couple of different companies selling ERP solutions, developing ERP solutions, and then found that I wanted to become a bit of an expert in one area rather than jack of all trades. So started to focus on business intelligence and analytics rather than knowing everything about the ERP system.
Yeah. Your career journey actually sounds very similar to mine, apart from the salesy bit. I did all the other bits, but didn't get involved in sales. So I did the pre-sales. And Ometis themselves, give us some background. Maybe people haven't heard of the company. Give us a bit of background on them.
Sure. Yeah. I think right now we try and find ourselves as the largest dedicated consultancy in the UK, but we started life off in 2011. Supporting just one global QlikView installation. So we were a Qlik consultancy, or we were a one-man band starting off like many small companies do. And after a couple of years, we'd got a couple of employees doing more and more work on that same client, and then I joined Ometis, and at the time there was a gentleman called Ross Gregg who was the MD. I'd worked with him before at previous companies, and I came in to head up the sales department there, or start selling. So we joined the partner program with Qlik in around 2013, and I suppose we've grown from that single customer that we supported on QlikView to having over 100 active customers, all using part of the Qlik platform now. So we've grown over the last 7 years, doing various different projects on Qlik and the surrounding platform.
So you've really seen the evolution, haven't you, of Qlik? So I've been at Qlik for 13 years now. And I remember way back in, I think it was QlikView version 7 when I got involved. So you've actually seen, you come along maybe halfway along that, maybe it would be QlikView 9 or 10 or something like that. And I've really seen that evolution, haven't you, from QlikView to where we are now with QlikSense.
Absolutely, and it's been an amazing journey, really. I think I picked it up around about QlikView version 10, as you were saying, when I was working for a previous company, and we were selling QlikView as an add-on to the ERP system. And we found that it was the thing that I wanted to concentrate on. It was the exciting part of the deployment and the installation. And then we very quickly jumped on the bandwagon when QlikSense came out. I think we adopted that really quite quickly. We were keen to get on board with it, and we were pushing it and selling it right on the very first version. Probably just before it really brought some of the functionality on that really made it powerful. We jumped on board with that and made a push. And of those 100 customers that we've got, probably 75-80% of them are on QlikSense. So we haven't got a lot of the legacy.
That's a good proportion. that is a good proportion of people that have gone over to ClickSense. Are you finding some of them are actually have ClickSense, but also will run ClickView alongside, or do they go over wholeheartedly, fully to
I
ClickSense?
suppose because of where we started, a lot of our customers are
Mm.
just brand new to Qlik, brand new to us, brand new to Qlik. We didn't
Yeah,
have them as
I see.
existing
Yeah, yeah,
customers selling them anything else. So we
yeah,
always,
yeah.
as soon as possible, we pushed ClickSense because we knew that that was going to be the future roadmap for Qlik,
Mm.
where the technology advancements were going to be. So we purposely pushed towards ClickSense in the very early stages, but some of our
I see.
customers do have ClickView, will carry on supporting ClickView,
Mm.
but we are very much of the opinion that if they want to get the best experience, if they want to,
Yeah.
really understand where they can take their data as an asset and push the value out of it, then they're going to have to
Mm.
modernize. They're going to have to run ClickSense,
Yeah.
alongside ClickView and slowly start that migration process. So we're having those
Transition
conversations
roadmap.
all of the time.
Mm. Excellent. So the reason we are sat here chatting to each other, and and we're in the middle of this pandemic, whatever you want to call it, which is changing our lives completely. And one customer that keeps on being mentioned, certainly at Qlik, we're getting that all the time. Our MD Mike Capone has mentioned it, and we're really behind this is Penlon
That's right.
Medical. Now, Penlon Medical produce respirators, but give everyone the background of exactly what you're doing with Penlon and using Qlik
Yeah,
for.
sure. So we were talking to Penlon as a prospect for Qlik, and what we do
Mm.
just prior to the global pandemic that's hit the whole world. We were talking to
Yeah,
them
yeah,
about the needs of their data, what they wanted to get clicking for, analysing their sales, their supply chain, their manufacturing process, and they were really quite keen. They were looking at other vendors at the time as well, but the
mm.
contact there had identified that Qlik had got the comprehensive capability to deal with their complex data that they wanted to pull in. So they
Yeah,
made the decision to go with Qlik, and then crisis happens and everything gets delayed, and
yeah,
you think, okay, I've got to say goodbye to
mm,
that
of course.
opportunity, and the whole world is changing. But actually, what
Mm.
happened? Penlon Medical Devices were asked by the government, and I suppose by this consortium that was set up. I think it was High Value Manufacturing Catapult, to join.
Yeah,
That's
catapult. Yes,
right,
I've heard
yeah,
of them.
to join other manufacturing companies in a consortium. So you've got the likes of McLaren and Ford and
Yeah. Mm.
Airbus that are all contributing their bits, and they might know a little bit more about streamlined lean manufacturing processes. They might be able to help build the trolleys to move parts around the shop floor, combined
Yeah.
with Penlon's medical expertise and their knowledge and their existing products that were in play. So I think that was a big part as to why Penlon were involved in this consortium. They had a
Mm.
product already that could be adapted rather than this start from scratch approach.
Yeah. And because McLaren's the way they're world renowned for the efficiency of their lines, aren't they? Their production lines. So taking their methodology and just taking and putting it on the production line for Penlon must have sped things up considerably, or
And
helped,
I,
I
and I
think.
think that was always the idea. Penlon, as a medical
Mm.
devices organisation, they assembled and manufactured, respirators and ventilators, but it was very much
Yeah,
a
yeah.
make-to-order process. So they'd be doing smaller numbers than they're doing right now. It would be very focused,
Mm.
diligent, making sure that all the tests were in place, but it wasn't an
Yeah.
operation like Ford, like McLaren, that have these
No, no.
state-of-the-art manufacturing processes. And the synergies and the combination of the two is exactly what the consortium wanted to make sure that we got these devices out, or Penlon were able to get these devices out as quickly as possible.
Mm. Now the figures are amazing, aren't they? The amount they've gone from to producing now. You did give me the figures. I've been very remiss in not having them with me, but I mean, we're talking 10, 20, 30 fold on their production line, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. As I was saying, it's gone from
Mm.
producing two or three of these per week to an order of
Yeah.
magnitude that is, 15, excuse me, John, 15,000
That's right.
was the latest order, I think, that they received from the government. So they're not producing
15,000. Wow.
15,000
Yeah.
yet. This is still a progress that
No.
is, still a process that they're trying to improve, and that's where some of the analysis comes in, of
Yeah.
course. But they are producing far more now than they ever have done before, and they need to be agile with the whole process because we don't know what's happening with this crisis, and if we have occupancy rates down, that's great, but we can still then
Yep.
sell
Yep.
those ventilators to other parts of the world that need them as well. So there's
Of
definitely
course.
still a
Yeah.
need for this to happen.
So what insight did Penlon get then? So back in my pre-sales days, the many times I went into a company and did a seeing is believing or proof of concept, whatever you want to call it, and put their data into an app, and that light bulb moment. What was Penlon's light bulb moment with Qlik?
I think there's two things that I'd like to point out here, I think, and focus on. They have a process that they need to follow. So it's from goods in
Yeah.
through to assembly, um, testing, inspection, through to a final approval and dispatch. So there's all those different areas that part of the product might go through, and they wanted to
Yeah.
get visibility of where they were at any point in time so that they could move staff around to the appropriate workstations. So I think that's been their
Gotcha.
light bulb moment, or the
Yeah.
real benefit that they've got out of that is that if they've got too many of these ventilators stuck in one particular area of the process, they can adapt and move people around to the different workstations to smooth that flow and ensure that they're getting a timely process in order to get these ventilators out. And I mentioned
Because they can't cut corners, can they? They can't cut corners. It's not like they can say, "Oh, we just won't do this bit." This is a medical respirator that is saving people's lives. So it's not like they can take chunks out or anything, is it?
Exactly, and I think I mentioned a couple of the
Mm.
processes there. You've got an inspection phase, you've
Yeah.
got a test phase, you've got an approval phase. These are separate processes that go on alongside the assembly, the goods in, and the dispatch. So it's rigorous testing because these are going out and
Yeah.
they're saving lives. And that brings me to the other point that I was going to make about what they got out of Qlik is that they had to
Mm.
move very quickly from a 9 till 5 or 8 till 6 working pattern to getting
Yeah.
24/7 coverage. So at Penlon at the moment, they have 3 shifts in play covering every hour of the day. And they're
Mm.
working in close proximity to each other, so they're having to, with protective equipment, and
Yeah. Of
and they
course. Yeah.
wanted to be able to motivate the workforce. So what we've been able to achieve is getting some of these dashboards onto large screens out on the manufacturing shop
Mm.
floor, where every time a ventilator is fully assembled and dispatched, that
Yeah.
equates to a number of lives being saved somewhere. So they really
Oh,
are
bless them.
trying to
Fantastic.
motivate that workforce
Yeah.
when they're working at, all hours of the morning to say, there's another
Mm.
ventilator manufactured and dispatched, ready to be delivered. We're making a real contribution towards society at this time.
Yeah, because we do that connection, that human connection, is amazing. Because in these times of lockdown, sometimes it's difficult to do that. And this project is not just something local. This has been in the news, isn't it? They're talking about it quite across the
Yeah,
country.
there's been quite a bit of coverage, really. There's, been a couple of
Mm.
competing factors out there, all for the right reason, for the right cause. Dyson
Yeah,
have been
yeah.
trying to get involved with starting their
Of course,
process off,
yes.
but it's really
Yeah,
only this consortium that has been given the go-ahead because of the head start that they had with Penlon's medical devices already being
yeah.
authorised and so on. But yeah, there's been lots of coverage on the news. You can search on the internet and find all of this information
Well,
out
yeah,
at
find
the
it all out.
moment.
Yes.
But it really has brought different manufacturing companies together in order to streamline that
Mm.
process. And if I may say so, Qlik have been brilliant throughout this as well in getting the right licensing in place for Penlon. So that was really quick and streamlined and making sure that they had what they needed. And also, I've got to give credit to the guys at Ometis that have put their time in to develop
Yeah.
these dashboards and apps. We at a moment's notice, juggled things around to free the resource up to go out there and improve their processes and give them visibility of what they needed to do. And it's a work in progress. We are still working on this. We're
Yeah.
trying to fit in with their very busy schedule to find out what they need next. So they're dumping data towards us. They're giving us access to the tables. We're having a little bit of artistic license in creating some of these, getting the feedback
Yeah.
quickly, and then getting that out onto the dashboard so people can see what's going on.
And you mentioned that about the work between Qlik and Ometis as well, and it's very important to say, isn't it? There's been a really close cooperation between giving you the licenses and with Ometis putting the time in and the work in. We're all pulling together, and it's great to see that relationship between a partner and Qlik coming at this vital point, coming together and making a difference.
Yeah, no, it really is. I think I asked the question on a Monday morning of our contact at Qlik, and within a couple of hours, I'd got Mike Capone linking in with me, asking me a couple of questions on
Nice.
LinkedIn. I'd got you giving me a call, John, to say, can we, jump on and talk?
Yeah, of course.
And we
Yeah,
had
yeah. And that's the most important bit as well, obviously, me
that
giving you a
is
call
the
rather than
most
Mike Capone.
important bit. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You threw me there, John. But absolutely, I think
Sorry.
what it's shown is that, as a tech company, we've been agile. Qlik have been agile, and they've been really helpful in getting this license in place and putting all of the resources in place to support this initiative of what we're trying to do. And yeah, I think it's just the right thing to do at this point in time. The world is a crazy place right now, and
Oh, yeah.
if we can get any good out of it, that's fantastic.
So going forward, then you were talking about the data and you grabbing the data, etc. What are your plans going forward? What's the next milestone in that project?
Well, the big one was to get the information out onto the shop floor. So we did that last
Yeah.
week. A guy working for us was able to get those dashboards out and make sure that people could see what was going on. But going forward, they want to analyse a bit more of their supply chain as well. They'd mentioned to us that they
Yeah.
want to talk about the utilization, so they're looking at the time of this process as well, not just the numbers going through, but
Yeah.
how long things are taking, so they can really feed that back into the manufacturing process. And then eventually, once this
Yeah.
crisis starts to level out, and we can see beyond where we are right now, then they do want to start looking at it from a commercial perspective and the sales that they do and things like that as well. So a great chance to work with a
Yeah.
great company, but right now it's all sort of hands to the pump and getting visibility of
Oh,
what's going
absolutely. Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Totally. And you mentioned the supply chain, because if the supply chain breaks down, then no matter how good you are at doing what you're doing, if you haven't got the bits to make the bits, you're not going to do anything, are you? That you're going to be stalled in that.
It's
So
critical.
that's exceptionally
Absolutely.
important. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's a brilliant. I mean, Penlon's a fantastic story. I was also speaking to someone in the US last week. There's a company called WellSky that are looking at they have clinics, and they're looking at where to send the PPE, the private protective equipment. So there's lots of examples of the way people are using it, and it's fantastic. But Ometis themselves, how are you adapting to this epidemic? What changes, if any, are you having to put in place? Apart from the obvious.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think like every
Yeah.
company, we're having to deal with a bit of uncertainty. But as far as working from home, um, we were able to seamlessly make that switch. So I've got to give sort of credit there to our operations director, Alex Walker, who'd got
Yeah.
everything in place. And we decided on the Friday, right, we're not coming in on the following Monday. Everybody's working from home. Has everybody got the
Yeah.
right equipment? What do we need to ship out to them? But the infrastructure and the processes and the protocols were already in place because we were working from home. So that's been a real seamless switch.
Fantastic.
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
adapting individually is different. People have got their children that they've got to cope with, and
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
some of that is great, and some of it is a challenge. Some people have got different setups at home, so we've tried to be proactive when we can and allow flexible working, different hours, whatever suits people
Yeah.
in order to fit the work in and so on. We've been in a really fortunate situation where we haven't had to furlough anybody. Everybody's still working for Ometis.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no,
That's good.
it is great. We're really conscious that we want to, come through this strong, and the signs are really good for us.
Mm.
We're supporting companies in all different industries, and certainly retail and hospitality are taking a massive hit right now.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
we are dealing with pharmaceuticals, utility companies, financial services, and some of those have just accelerated projects that they wouldn't yet have done because they've got a bit of
I see.
downtime.
Okay.
Well, I
Yeah.
call it downtime. They've got different
No.
things that they
No.
can be focusing on.
Focus is different, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. It's maybe not be
Yeah.
downtime, but your focus changes. And there's a shout out to people as well. And I know we've had this at Qlik where people are not used to working from home. I have always worked from, I mean, over the last decade or so, I've always worked from home. So for me, there isn't much of a change. But if you're not used to it and you have children around you, the distractions can be huge. And if you could give someone a tip then, I mean, because you've obviously done it before, Andy, give someone a tip. If you've got a number one tip you could give them for working from home, what would that be?
I think stay connected, I think, is my biggest tip there. I think
Mm.
what we've tried to do is have regular catch up calls with the whole of the team. We're a small organisation. We are, just over
Yeah.
20 people at Ometis, all focused on Qlik, which is great. But we wanted to
Mm.
make sure that everybody stayed connected. So we do 3 sort of hangout sessions a week, one on a Monday afternoon.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
one on a Monday afternoon,
Yeah.
one on a Wednesday morning, and then one on a Friday midday. So we're trying to put them at different times so that different people can join different
Yeah.
sessions. They're not mandatory. You haven't got to feel obliged to do it. But
No.
we throw up a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, whatever sort of is
Mm.
applicable. And, we do, chats that are not work related. We might do some
No.
quizzes and
No.
things like that just to break up the
Oh,
day,
nice.
make people feel that they are still part of that team,
Yeah.
and they've got the freedom to, have a little bit of a moan about what's going on, or tell us something different that's
Yeah.
gone on with the homeschooling
Yeah.
that they're having to do. So yeah, I think one tip
Mm.
is to try and get your routine, and that can be different to other people's routines, but get your routine that
Yeah. Of
suits
course. Yeah.
you and stay connected. And that has worked for us, I think, I hope,
Yeah.
but we'll certainly be keeping an eye on it going forward to make sure that we're keeping our employees engaged with what we're doing.
Fantastic. And not, I'm not talking about work now. I'm talking about a new skill. Now, I'll give you my new skill, and that has been I've got really green fingered, and I'm growing tomatoes from seed out of a tomato. There's my new skill. I'd never even realised you could do that, but I've done that. Have you got something that you've done that you wouldn't ordinarily have done during this lockdown?
Um, yeah, I suppose so. I've always been into sports, so I'm riding my
Yeah.
bike a lot more. Excuse me.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Yeah.
excuse me. Riding my bike a lot more there.
That's right.
But I think the one thing that is a little bit different is that we've been
Mm.
doing a lot of quizzes with family, with
Yeah.
friends, with work colleagues. These interactive quizzes that are like escape
Mm.
rooms online and things like that. So I've got
Nice.
quite into that, and I've just decided that I'm going to fill my head with random trivial facts that,
Random
yeah,
facts.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So whether it's knowing the technical name for hiccups, or whether it's reciting all of the American states, the state capitals and their nickname, it's those things that are resonating with me. So I'm keeping lists of random bits of information in my head,
Mm.
is what's happening in lockdown at the moment, John.
Excellent. Well, I hopefully can give you a piece of, well, it's not useless information, but my random information I give to everyone is an acronym. And that is, did you know the word laser is an acronym? And laser stands for light amplification stimulated by emitted radiation.
Fantastic.
There you go. That's free of charge, and it's
And
all yours. It's
it'll
all
be coming
yours.
up in the next Ometis quiz as well.
Yes. Please let me know if you do and how many people get
I'll
it
give you
right.
credit
If
for
you
that one,
use it,
John.
that's all I ask of you.
Absolutely.
Yes, please
Will do.
do. Well, Andy, it's been a pleasure, and I think one thing that comes out of these times is people that I've met that I wouldn't maybe ordinarily have met, or conversations I had that maybe wouldn't have had the time to do, and this is one of them. So thank you so much. Well done, and good luck with the Penlon Medical and everything else that you're involved with, and I wouldn't mind doing this again sometime if we've got now that we're not going anywhere. Let's have a chat again
It's
sometime.
been a real pleasure, John, and no problem at all. I'm sure we've got a couple of other use cases where we could, chew over the fat and talk about it. So thanks very much indeed.
More than happy. Take care and stay safe.